Readers! Welcome back to Reading in the Middle. I'm Annisha Jeffries, librarian, kidlit advocate, and your host. Every episode, we celebrate picture books, middle grade stories that matter, and the ones that make us laugh, think, and feel. Today, we're meeting up with author Ambreen Butt-Hussain, whose Alina Butt series. It's all the right notes and more. In the Unbelievable Alina Butt, we meet Alina, a smart, funny, and often misunderstood girl just trying to survive middle school. She's navigating friendship drama, school plays, and all the awkward moments that come with being the new kid again. Then, in the sequel, You're Out of Luck, Alina Butt, Alina's plans take a sharp left turn. Her passport expires, and instead of a class trip to Paris, parents take her on a surprise visit to Pakistan. It's a story about frustration, discovery, and the unexpected ways we grow when we're pushed outside of our comfort zones. Ambreen's writing is clever, layered, and full of moments that feel pulled right from real life. Today, we talk about culture, comedy, family, what it means to write characters are allowed to be messy, bold, and completely themselves. So let's jump in. Ambreen, welcome. You've given us one of the most refreshingly awkward, hilarious, real middle grade heroines in Alina Butt. For those new to her world, who is Alina and what kind of chaos does she bring with her?
Hi, I'm good. How are you? Thank you for having me. So Alina is basically a Pakistani Muslim girl, just an average middle schooler, but she is, a little bit awkward, like you said. She's really funny. She is just I think a really relatable character for any boy or girl, I would say. I think she could be anyone's friend, really. But the chaos that follows her is usually most of it is created by herself and her mind. Not to say that there's a lot of chaos going on around her, but it's more how she perceives things or how she thinks that causes the chaos to happen. But I think she's a really lovable character.
Now, let's rewind. The Unlovable Alina Butt introduced us to a girl who's convinced she's a social disaster of 7th grade. What inspired her first story? And did you always know there would be more to come?
The first book was titled The Unlovable Alina Butt, but the funny thing is that she is actually very lovable in my opinion. And that's what I've heard from readers as well, that they really enjoy reading about her and kind of getting to know her. So, yeah. So, again, you're going to have to repeat the second part of your question. Did I always know? Okay. So, what inspired her firstly was my own childhood. The book and the characters, including Alina, is inspired by kind of myself and my family and the friends that I had. There's definitely things that I've changed up, of course, and I've fictionalized parts of it as well. But a lot of the inspiration comes from that. So that's where the birth of Alina kind of happened. I always knew I wanted to write about my childhood, something inspired by that, and growing up with the funny last name Butt. I had that last name growing up and I still do, of course. It kind of is something that stays with me and I always have experience funny little anecdotes to do with it, even now as an adult. But I always knew that that's something that I wanted to write about. And just being the new kid several times, immigrating from one country to another, going through that experience a lot of times in life. So that's where the inspiration for Alina came from. And then did I always know there was going to be more? Yes, I really hope so. And so initially when I wrote the first one, when I initially started writing, I don't think I thought too much about what was to follow. But I think midway through, I knew that I really want to continue the story. And then I think once I was done the first book, I started planning ahead and planning out where I wanted the story to go. Whether it reaches as far as I wanted it to go, I don't really know if that will happen, but I would love for it to be a series with multiple books. Thank you.
Yeah. So in You're Out of Luck, Alina Butt, we see Alina longing for Paris and ending up in Pakistan. In The Unlovable Alina Butt, she's battling middle school and best friend drama. What connects these two books for you emotionally?
So for me, it's kind of like I said, because it's inspired by my childhood, it's a continuum of what I went through. So some of the series of events where the main dilemma in the first one was that she is at a new school yet again, and she's trying to fit in, she's trying to make friends. In this one, she's finally made friends, but unfortunately, things are still going wrong. And the biggest issue being that her UK visa is coming to an end, and that problem is causing a lot of other issues in her 7th grade year, which she thought was going to be this perfect year because she finally has friends. So now suddenly, things are still not going her way. And I think that tends to happen in life. Like, no matter how much you think things are going to be perfect, something always goes a little bit wrong. And then you have to learn to deal with it. And you have to learn to have like a positive perspective or an approach to facing those problems. So that's kind of what happens. And I think, like I said, because it's inspired from my own life, that is the problem that I faced after that initial move, is that I had to move again, and I had to, get through some of the issues that came with the visas running out and letting go of friends that I had already finally made and gotten used to. So yeah, that's kind of the connection. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, because these books are laugh out loud funny, but they also carry this undercurrent of loneliness, identity, and finding your place. Whether at a new school or another continent, or even inside your own family. Was that intentional from the start?
So to be honest, I have so much fun writing these stories. I get to relive so many kind of funny moments in my own life, and then also make them funnier because, like I said, I fictionalize a lot of them. And in this book in particular, I think I had a lot of fun when Alina takes a trip to Pakistan, like you mentioned. So she goes from UK to Pakistan. And I think it was like a chance to show the reader the real Pakistan. So I think I had a lot of fun doing that. I didn't want it to be presented in a way that you would usually see it in the media, or like a lot of kids, if you've seen it in the news, or that's their only exposure to that country. So I really wanted to show them like what the real country is like, and people are actually really happy there, and they have a lot of fun, and there's weddings, and there's restaurants and cousins, and all the sleepover. Like, there's a whole fun it's a country like any other, really, and there's people there like any other people. So I really wanted to show that side, and I think I had a lot of fun just kind of exposing that and hoping that people see it for what it is. Yeah.
So let's talk about Adam. His relationship with Alina goes from swoony to not so swoony. So without any spoilers, was that always part of the plan?
Yeah, it kind of was, to be honest. Like, I feel like maybe it's because I watch too many rom-coms or read too many rom-coms. I feel like even though I was writing a middle grade, in the back of my mind, I was like, oh, that would be really cute. And because you asked me the question of like what I thought was going to happen when I first started writing, I always thought that, to me, I was like, this is going to be like my Anne of Green Gables, where the character grows up and goes to high school and college, and I'm going to take Alina through life. So even now, I think maybe I will do that. I don't know. But like, that's why I wanted to introduce certain characters in there and have kind of like a really strong backstory that if she was to grow up and I was to write her further on, I could make something out of it. And I think it would make to me at least, I think it would make such a good continuation if she grew up and that maybe turned into something. I don't know, I don't know what's going to happen for sure, but that was in the back of my mind that she's going to develop. I don't want to give it away either, but
oh yeah, I'm so happy you mentioned Anne of Green Gables, Anne and Gilbert Blythe. That's something to think about too. I just love that dynamic between those two. So Alina and Adam, maybe.
I think that was a little bit in my mind as I was writing it. But not to compare myself to that, because of course that's like a classic and nothing compares. But yeah, that was a little bit inspirational for me.
And then there's Nadia, Alina's fierce, no-nonsense sister. She brings a whole different energy. So with that, how did you go about writing their sibling dynamics? Because siblings, they're bound not to get along. So this was a major part of your story. And how did you, come up with that?
Yeah, so I feel like this happens a lot of time with sisters. Like I said, like the characters are inspired by my family. So I have a sister similar to Nadia, but not just me and my sister, but I feel like in a lot of sibling relationships, two sisters end up being opposites for some odd reason. Like their personalities are just so different. So I always knew that whatever Alina is, Nadia is not, and whatever Nadia is, Alina is not. Like but they gel really well together and they complement each other. So that's why they're so close, and they just like, you know, they can go back and forth so easily and have this really beautiful relationship, but they're so different. And yeah, I wanted to make Nadia this really like different character so that even for the reader, she's kind of refreshing because she takes you into a whole different perspective of whatever Alina is going through. And she's experiencing it in her own way because of her own personality. So yeah, it just kind of switches things up a little bit for the reader as well and gives them a different perspective to the same situation or problem.
The books are laugh out loud funny, but they also carry this undercurrent of loneliness and identity and finding place, whether that's at a new school or another continent, or even inside your own family. Was that intentional from the start?
Yeah, I think it was intentional because I think that's a big part of growing up. Like, I think no matter who you are or where you're from, like, I think you do tend to feel at times that maybe you don't belong or you don't fit in, or whether it's within your own family or with friends or wherever. So that was definitely intentional because I wanted kids who are feeling that to feel like they're not alone. Other kids go through it as well, and then kind of like read about it and feel the sense of connection with the character, but also maybe get ideas of how to get out of that, or know that there is like an light at the end of the tunnel. Like you will make it through that feeling and you will find connections, you will like fit in your own way. And in times that you don't feel like you do, that's also okay. It's okay to kind of stand out and be different.
Has a young reader ever told you something unexpected or hilarious about Alina?
I would say that someone asked me this question recently: what is the best reader response that you received from someone? And funnily enough, it's actually from an adult. So I was at a school presenting, and it was their school librarian who had booked me for the presentation. But after the presentation was done, she came up to me and she was just like, we have a lot of immigrants from different countries and a lot of refugees from different countries in our school. And I've never seen this group of kids be this quiet. And she was like, they were kind of in awe and they were just listening so carefully because they felt so represented by, the book, and also you, the author, like being Pakistani and being in front of them and like, you've immigrated yourself, and telling them that, this is possible. Like you can maybe go on to write a book or and just see the character story and feel so connected to it. I think that was the best response. It's not something hilarious, obviously, but it was really heartwarming for me to hear. And it was just so nice. But anytime a kid tells me that they connect to the book or they relate to it, I love that. I love hearing that because that's the reason I wrote it.
If a kid came up to you and said, I am Alina, what would you say to them?
Yeah, if they said to me, I am Alina, I would say to them, like, I'm so happy you feel that way. Like, I'm so happy you feel seen through the book and that you connect to her and that you feel like you are her. But I would hope that in being Alina, they are also like in the first one, for example, where Alina is feeling insecure about herself, that they are able to, just as Alina, kind of reach the end of that journey and feel loved and feel secure. Like that would be my hope for them, that if they do connect to Alina, they're also able to overcome the challenges that she had or faced. And similarly in the second book, where she feels like she's not lucky and she feels like nothing goes right for her and, everything kind of sucks, which a lot of kids and adults do. Like we fall into that kind of pit where we feel all of that. So I would hope for them that while they connect to her, which is wonderful, and they feel like they are Alina, I love that, but they're able to, again, overcome those challenges and see that their life is beautiful and there's so much good in it that they have and their surroundings and the people in their life and all of that. So they're blessed, and I hope that they're able to see that.
Okay, are you ready for our lightning round?
Sure, yes, exciting. Okay.
Paris or Pakistan? Where would you rather be stuck for the summer?
100% Pakistan, because I have so much family and friends there, and to be honest, I have so much fun when I go. And as a kid, they were the best summers of my life. Like I remember them so fondly, having such a good time with like cousins, and like how I described in the, this is supposed to be lightning. I'm not supposed to talk so much, so I'll be quiet. Anyway, so yeah, Pakistan, because I have such fond memories of those trips.
What's your ultimate comfort food from childhood?
I think kebabs and burgers. Yeah.
What's a middle grade book that meant everything to you when you were 12?
When I was 12, okay, I'm not gonna lie. It was Harry Potter. I was obsessed with it at 12. Yeah.
Finish this sentence. If Alina could change one thing about the world.
If Alina could change one thing about the world, it would be just to make everyone love her and be really nice to her. I think she's a little bit self-centered right now. That's probably what it would be. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if she would be thinking about world peace at that time. Like, I think she would be more just like, everyone needs to like me. I need to fit in.
So, do you think Alina has more adventures ahead, or is she finally catching a break?
No, she definitely has more adventures ahead. I think life doesn't give you breaks like that. I think she'll get miniature breaks, but she's going to be right back into her adventures.
And finally, where can readers, educators, and fans of awkward girls with big hearts connect with you and follow your work?
So they can connect with me on social media. My username everywhere is the same. It's Ambreen Butt-Hussain. So Instagram is a great place to connect with me, or they can email me at ambreen.bhwrites@gmail.com. And I would love to connect with readers and teachers, librarians, everyone really. I love to hear their thoughts about the books and answer any questions. Yeah, that's I like the plug-in. It's okay.
Ambreen, thank you so much for being on Reading in the Middle. This was such a pleasure. Thank you for sharing Alina and sharing so much of you with our listeners.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so wonderful talking to you. Thank you.
That was Ambreen Butt-Hussain, author of The Unlovable Alina Butt and You're Out of Luck, Alina Butt. Alina's journey isn't about being perfect. It's about being real. She's figuring things out in her own time on her own terms. And for readers navigating their own middle school ups and downs, that's something special. If you haven't checked out the series yet, now's the time. There are the kinds of books I recommend over and over again as a librarian, as a reader, and someone who believes deeply in the power of seeing yourself on the page. Thanks for joining me on Reading in the Middle. If you liked this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and follow me on Instagram or other social media platforms. I'm Annisha Jeffries. Until next time, keep reading, keep laughing, and never stop being exactly who you are. Also, keep reading in the middle.